Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk about transformations, and really what that means is just to transform something. Since we're in geometry, we'll talk about transforming shapes and points, specifically on a coordinate plane. And the first thing we're going to talk about is translations. So before I tell you what a translation is, let's kind of just go with the problem here. First thing, I want everyone to graph the point -2, 1 on the graph to the right. Okay, so anytime you have a point, it's x comma y. So you're going to go -2 on the x and up 1 on the y. And this would be the point -2, 1. Okay, now the directions say to translate the point 2 units right and 3 units up. So if I move this point, okay, translate is another word to move, or some people say to shift, and other people say to slide. So you're taking that and you are going to move it 2 units right and 3 units up. So if I want to go to the right, I'll go 1, 2. If I want to go up, okay, I'll have to go up 3, 1, 2, 3. I would be right here. Okay, and the coordinates of this, well, I'm moving 0 on the x because I'm not going left or right, and I'm going up 4. We're going 0, 4. Okay, so let's say this point was called point A. This is our original. We often would call this point A with like what looks like an apostrophe, but we actually call it A prime. I'm going to say A prime. And the reason we are calling it A as well is because we want to know that A prime is a transformed A. So we name them both A. But to differentiate, this is A, we'll call this A prime, so you know the difference between them. So I called this point A, and this point is A prime. Let's try another one. So we're going to do 4, 2 in a different color. So I'm going up, right 4 and up 2. This is point 4, 2. I'm going to call this point B. Okay, and I want to translate the point 4, 2. It's going to go 3 units left and 5 units down. So if I want to go 3 units left, I'll go 1, 2, 3 to the left, and I'll go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is the transform B. I'll call this B prime. What are the coordinates of this point? Let's see. My x, I'm moving 1. My y is going to -3. So B prime is just another way of saying it's B that's been translated or transformed is 1, -3. Okay, so translations are really something you already know. It's just about moving something on a coordinate plane. You can do it with points, you can do it with shapes. But let's go ahead and formalize this. Okay, so anytime you have a translation, we're going to use translation notation to formalize what we just did. Okay, so you're going to take a point xy, and you're going to, this is like the arrow that means like you have transformed it. Okay, so you start with this and go to this. It's just like writing an arrow like that. And the way you're going to transform it is adding something to the x and adding something to the y. So that's why this says x plus, that's why it says x plus k, because you've added something to the x, and it's a y plus h because you're adding something to the y. Okay, where k is the distance you're moving horizontally because it's attached to the x, and x is horizontal. And our h number there is the distance you're moving vertically, which is our y distance, which is why it's attached to the y. Okay, so I want to take this and write it in translation notation. So I'll do one and kind of talk about it, and then you can try one on your own. Okay, so our first one, we started at -2, 1. Okay, and from -2, 1, we move 2 units right and 3 units up. Okay, so this arrow, we move 2 right and, what did I say, 3 units up? Yeah. Okay, so how did I actually transform my x and my y coordinate? Okay, well, if I go 2 units right, I'm adding 2 to the x. So you're going to take my -2, and I'm really adding 2. Now, my up is transforming my y. So I started at 1, right? I was here at 1 on my y, and then I moved up 1, 2, 3, which is how I got 4. It's just 1 plus 3. So this is my original. This is my original. And this is my, I'm going to call it shifted coordinate. I shifted right 2, and I shifted up 3. Okay, so So this is the more specific way to write it. If I wanted to generalize this, the rule would be I took my x-coordinate and added 2. This is my x-coordinate. Then I took my y-coordinate and I added 3, right? This is my y-coordinate, I added 3 to it. And this is how you'd write a mathematical rule. Okay. I want you to go ahead and try writing one of these for E, and I'll come back with the answer. Okay, if you've done this correctly, you should get the rule is x minus 3, y minus 5. Now, why is it minus 3 and minus 5? It's because you took the x-coordinate that you started with, and you moved to the left 3. Left is getting smaller, so it's subtraction. And you took the y-coordinate and you moved down 5. So down is also getting smaller, so that's why we subtract. And you can double check this by doing this like intermediate step I did here. Okay, I started with my original point is 4, 2. If I subtract 3, I get 1. If I subtract 5 from the y, I get negative 3. And that is the point that was transformed as 1, negative 3. Okay, so if you move left or down, it's minus. If you move right or up, it's plus, which if you look on a coordinate plane, it makes sense. So you don't necessarily have to memorize that. Okay, this one's slightly different. It's giving you the mathematical rule, and it says find the coordinates of the point. Okay, so my original point is 3, 5. And to this point, I want to apply the rule x plus 4, y minus 1. This isn't too bad. All you really have to say is I'm taking my x-coordinate and I'm adding 4. If I add 4 to my x-coordinate, what do I get? Okay, so my x-coordinate is 3. If I add 4, I get 7. Taking my y-coordinate, I'm subtracting 1. My y-coordinate is 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. So you can also get the transform point without just, moving around on the coordinate plane. You can get a picture if you want, though. Okay, now a verbal rule for this translation is how did I get from this point, actually not to there, but how did I get from this point to this point? Can you say it in a statement about, how you moved from here to here? So the verbal rule is, okay, if I had to go x plus 4, x is horizontal, so if I go in the positive direction, I have to move right 4. Okay, and I'm going y minus 1. Y is the vertical. If I go minus 1, I'm going down 1. Okay, so really what this verbal rule is, you move right 4 and down 1. Okay, I want you to go ahead and try this, and I'll come back with the answer. Okay, I bet a lot of you got negative 5, 11 because you said, okay, I am at negative 3 and I'm minusing 2 in the x. I'm going left 2, so I'd be at negative 5. And I'm going up 3 on the y, so I'd be at 11. It's a very common mistake if you don't read very carefully. That is incorrect. It says, if you apply this transformation and end up at the point negative 3, 8, what are the coordinates of the original? So this is working backwards. What this is really saying is you're ending at negative 3, 8 after moving left 2 and up 3. That's where you end. So the question is, where did you begin? So you have to go backwards. And I'm going to draw a picture for this one. So you end at negative 3, 8. 6, 7, 8. You end here. That's the, like the C prime. That's where you end up. Where did I start? So that's after you move left 2. So if I want to undo that, I got to move right 2. So I'd be here. And that's after I moved up 3. So if I want to undo that, I got to go down 3. So this point here would make my original C, which is where x is negative 1 and y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's double check that in a few ways. If I start at 1 or negative 1, 5 and I move left 2, I will be at x is negative 3. If I move up 5 from there, or excuse me, up 3 from there, I go from 5, 6, 7, 8, and I am where I want to be here. Okay, the other way you can check it is by applying the mathematical rule. So I got to subtract 2 from the x, and I got to add 3 to the y. Do I get my endpoint? Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. So I do get my end point. This is where you begin. This is where you end. Okay, now, there's lots of ways to think about this. If you're a visual person, you might like the graph. If you're not, you might like the equation. Whatever works for you, I'm fine with. But you do need to know how to write the verbal rule. And all the verbal rule is saying, describing how you move. So I had to move left 2 because I was subtracting 2. And I had to move up 3 to get from my start to my end, my original image to my post image. There's some problems for you to try on your own, but that's basically what translations are. They're a way of shifting or sliding points, shapes, whatever it may be, so you can transform them. This will be very helpful in Algebra 1 when you transform graphs. So if you have any questions, please ask now. Have a good rest of your class period.